listen, there's no reason for Kyle Busch to panic because he just gave up last night. If you listen to his interview, man, it's over. It's over. We've been like this all year long. What are we going to do? It's over.
Hey race fans, welcome to another episode of Backseat Drivers. I am Alex Weaver, and no offense to my past guests because I've been excited to have all of them, but man, this pairing is one with two legends. I have a legend in the NASCAR Cup Garage, Kyle Petty from NBC Sports is here, and then a legend in the NASCAR Media Center. First one in, last one out, always. Fox Sports' Bob Pockrass. Welcome, guys. I want to start first with, obviously we have to talk about Denny Hamlin. The 11 gets the first win for the 2021 season. KP, a statement win for Denny or no?
You know, I probably in some ways. The way I looked at it, the biggest statement that I saw from Denny Hamlin last night is, hey, I ran 26 races in the regular season. I lost the regular season championship, but I can bounce back and I can still win races. And I won the Southern 500. So I think winning the Southern 500, winning in the fashion that he won it in, with Kyle Larson right on his bumper. And that move on the last lap by Kyle Larson, I think that's a little bit of a statement to say we've come to play in the playoffs. We've come to make our way to Phoenix. So that's a little bit of a statement, but that's all I'm going to take from it.
Bob, Denny's heart rate wasn't even that high looking in that rearview mirror, seeing Larson creep up in the 5, but a statement win for the 11?
I think it was a statement win when he looks in the mirror. Because I think that, you know, even though he said that they were knocking on the door and the anvil had dropped on them so many times and that the win was going to come, I think he needed that win just for some confidence, just for the knowledge of like, hey, we can get it done. I think everybody on the outside knew they could get it done, but they're also like, look, you're not to Kyle Larson level yet this year. Larson still has 5. You just have 1. You're going to have to do a little bit more to show me.
Well, speaking of doing a little bit more, I want to break down that last lap because Kyle Larson, I think, gave it all he had there at the end. KP, was your mind? I mean, my mind was blown at the last lap. I did not know we were going to finish Darlington that way.
No, I don't think anybody did. Shades of Jimmy Johnson and Carl Edwards. A little bit, you know, and Darlington was the perfect place for it because those guys ride the wall all day long. They're already up there. They've already knocked it down 1,000 times during the day. You've only got to go through 3 and 4. So I was impressed. And listen, I have to admit, if Denny had run low, we may be talking about a different winner today because he made time getting in that corner. He made time through the center until he run in the back of Denny and had to check up. And then the friction of the wall and jumping up off the gas kind of slowed him down a little bit, but it was still closer than you think it would be after watching that. So that was impressive move by Kyle Larson.
Yeah, both drivers were smiling about it in Victory Lane. I think they had a little bit of fun there. Bob, for those that don't know, Bob in the media center has about 6 scanners in his ears. The radios are going crazy. It's vibrating all over his desk. How crazy were things that last lap, Bob?
They were pretty crazy. I was listening to Kyle Larson's scanner, and they kept kind of trying to encourage him and saying, you're close. And then at the end, Larson just comes on, and he said something like, you know, I just tried to video game it, you know, at the end. And I think that's kind of what it looked like. All I know is I'm standing on pit road, and I see his car just keep scraping the wall and hitting the wall. And then after the race, they need to take a tow truck to get Kyle Larson's car to inspection. And I'm thinking, man, if you're going to try to make a move, that's the way you make a move. Now, granted, he's got a pretty big points cushion. He didn't have to really worry about whether he finished 2nd or 20th. And it was cool to see him go for it.
Yeah, both of those drivers who were competing for that regular season championship. Kyle Larson ultimately gets the win for the regular season, but they don't have to worry about points. Had a really good night at Darlington. We did see a lot of the points swing, however, with a lot of the playoff drivers. I think it was either 11 or 12 of the 16 had issues. Bob, I'm starting with you on this one now. Why did we see so many drivers and teams either make mistakes or have issues at the start of the playoffs?
Well, I think part of it is pressure, and part of it is Darlington for 367 laps. You know, it's hard to go 4 hours. That race was the longest of the season. It was longer than the 600. It was an over 4-hour race, and to go that long without making a mistake, even for the best, is difficult.
Chase Briscoe said on his radio that it felt like the Southern 1000, KP. Why all the mistakes?
Yeah, listen, honestly, I think it's the way we started the playoffs this year with so many guys under the tent of 15 or 16 points. You had to make something happen, man. But I will say this may be, from the competitor standpoint, one of the sloppiest first races I've ever seen in the playoffs. And I'm not going to things that happen, cut tires, things like that, but just speeding penalties and tires and going over the wall and just different things. There were mistakes made all night long, it seemed like. And I think it's the pressure. I mean, Joey Logano has the slogan this year, every point. And I think they all believe that. Every point is going to matter. And they went beyond their capabilities in a couple of different areas, whether it was on pit road or whether it was on the racetrack. So to me, I think it was mainly just the pressure and everybody starting under that umbrella of 15 or 20 points.
We will see who the Darlington stripe affects more, because it may be a lasting effect when it comes time to make it to the next round of the playoffs. They may be looking at Darlington as something that could have changed their game plan there. But KP, were you surprised to see the Hendrick car struggle? Other than Larson, man, rough night for HMS.
So this is what I'm going to say, okay? Define struggle, because I didn't see him struggle. I saw him have issues and not finish the race. But the 24, William Byron, had an issue when he run into his own teammate early in the race. That just happens at Darlington. What happened to William? But they had fought their way back and was running sixth or seventh in the race at that time. So they have speed. They have a great organization. So they had a terrible night. But I don't think I saw the struggle that, and listen, we talked about it on NBC. They called it a struggle. I don't call it a struggle. I think I would much better during my career have speed in my car and be able to run in the top 4 or 5 and have something happen than to end up running 20th or 15th or something and have my car intact. That's struggle. But they still have speed.
It is hard to hit the panic button when they have been so successful all season long, especially after one race. Bob, what happened with the Hendrick cars last night?
Oh, that's a great question. I wonder whether it's one of those things where we talk all season about not having practice, and Alex Bowman gets into the wall first 10 laps. Maybe if they have practice, he hits the wall in the first 10 laps of practice. They bring out a backup car and he's set. Chase Elliott, radio issues, difficulty on getting onto pit road. Those are things that you also kind of work on or kind of hash out during practice. And I think it maybe just was one of those days where, you can do all the preparation you want, but you're just going to have those type of things happen, when you're just rolling the car off the hauler and going racing.
I think all of the Hendrick drivers may have taken a peek up in the sky to see if a full moon was out over that Darlington Raceway. Let's do a little rapid fire. This is what we like to call the drive-through, but this is quick, easy answers. The first one may not be so easy because it's hard to predict it, especially after one race. KP, this round is complete. Let's say we're already past Bristol. Who's your first 4 out of the playoffs?
Michael McDowell, Tyler Reddick, Eric Almirola, and Christopher Bell. Because for me, they struggled. Those guys struggled. They struggled with speed. They struggled. So those are my first 4 out. And
it has been a struggle for the majority of the season for those teams too.
Yes.
Bob, who is your first early 4 out?
I have 3 of those 4, but I would have Bell in and I would have Bowman out. Alex, yes, he won at Richmond earlier this year, but I just think that team has kind of hit a funk. And they'll say they haven't, but until they start rattling off, some finishes and leading some laps, I'm not all that confident in them.
All right, I'm going to tell Bowman when he gets on Twitter. I know he'll tweet at you, Bob. Don't worry. Next up, we all know that everybody loves a Cinderella story, to put that glass slipper on somebody's foot of who can make a longer run in the playoffs than expected. KP, who's your Cinderella story after watching how they competed in Darlington?
Okay. Now, she's not pretty. I'm going to go ahead and say that. But I'm going with Kevin Harvick as my Cinderella story. How about that one? I mean, the guy wins the most races last year, comes into this year seated 16th, and I think he's my Cinderella story. Last night, they did what Kevin Harvick and Rodney Childers do. Blue collar, grind it out, and make something out of nothing. And that's what he'll be able to do. Now, that's only going to get him so far. We're not talking Cinderella going to the big dance. I don't think we're talking that. But I think Cinderella will go further into the playoffs than what a lot of us thought we were when this thing started.
Yeah, KP, I know you were on the broadcast and up there at the booth for stage 2, but did you see when they showed RC, Rodney Childers, on the pit box? He had sitting back, legs were crossed. I was like, oh, man, it is dangerous for the rest of the competition. Bob, who's your Cinderella story?
I don't know if I should call him a Cinderella because he might get mad at me, but Kurt Busch, he's going to be my Cinderella story. They've had speed at various tracks. His teammate Ross Chastain obviously showed speed yesterday. They have their crew is one of the best crews on pit road. These guys, they're all competing for their jobs, really, and competing to show what they can do if they don't get retained at when the team gets bought by Trackhouse. So I look at them and I say, this is a team that'll either have greatness or be horrible. And I think in that first race, they showed some glimpses of greatness.
Man, look at the old guys getting it done. Kevin Harvick and Kurt Busch, 2 of the oldest guys in the garage, are going to be the Cinderellas this year. I can't wait. Well, I know Bob is maybe hitting the panic button for the 48 a little bit to not make it through this round. But KP, what about the 18 and the 24? A time to panic for Kyle Busch and William Byron yet?
Well, listen, there's no reason for Kyle Busch to panic because he just gave up last night. If you listen to his interview, man, it's over. It's over. We've been like this all year long. What are we going to do? It's over. But no, there's a reason these guys make the playoffs every year. There's a reason these guys are past champions. There's a reason these guys are the ones we talk about and are always at the sharp end of the stick. Because no matter what they say, what they do can be something totally different. So I don't think it's time to hit the panic button for these guys. I think, are they where they wanted to be with their performance and what happened? No, I don't think so. But I think, they are concerned, obviously, because everybody wanted to come out of Darlington with something and they came out with really nothing. But the panic's not ready for them. Not for me, anyhow.
All right, Bob, did you transcribe that interview with Kyle Busch at the Info Care Center? Because, man, it's spicy.
We got even a little bit more after that, and there were some words that I can't use here. But, look, Kyle Busch has won, 14 races when you look at Richmond and Bristol combined. That's what I want to say the stat is. So it'd be really hard for me to say he should panic going to those 2 tracks. Maybe a couple different ones, but those 2, I don't think he panics. And William Byron, the thing is, I think his panic button is worn out from the first 2 years of his career. And I think he has a sense of maturity, a sense of calmness. He talks about how he thinks Rudy Fugel's gotten better in strategy at some races, especially like road courses. And he seems kind of very matter of fact. And I think, as Kyle said earlier, he had speed yesterday. He was more kind of a victim of bad luck than creating your own bad luck that the others seem to face.
Yeah.
All right, not time to panic yet.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in on the William Byron thing. William Byron, and I agree, William Byron looked like a deer in headlights for that first year and a half. I mean, like, what am I doing here? Why am I at this level? What's going on? He was setting on the panic button every time he crawled into that car. But I listened to his radio. And I watch his interviews and watch him and listen to Rudy. It's like listening to Ray Abraham and Jeff Gordon, there's just a calmness and a peace, no matter what's going on, no matter what's torn up. So I don't think he knows what panic is.
If you look up student of the sport in the dictionary, if William Byron's face is not beside it, I can't help you there because, man, he is a student of the sport. Well, we almost saw it last night. Ross Chastain almost had a steal. At one point in the race, it looked like it may be the McDonald's and we were going to get some fries and watermelons in Victory Lane. But we know that it takes away from a playoff driver having that automatic berth into the next round. So, KP, can a non-playoff driver over the course of the playoffs steal one of those wins?
Yeah. So define non-playoff drivers because what I'm saying is we're going to get guys kicked out that become non-playoff drivers. And as we start to kick off better teams and better drivers, kick them out, by the time we get down to the round of 8 of these guys that we're talking about are playoff drivers could win a race. So yes, I think we can. We talk about it every year. The possibility is there. And with the craziness of this year and the guys that we've seen win races, then you have to say if it's going to happen, it probably happens multiple times this year, even though it's only really happened, I think, once in the past. But I do believe that we could see, even if we talk about Kyle Busch, we talk about the Hendrick cars, if somebody like that of that caliber got kicked out, I believe they can still win races.
Some wild card racetracks left in the playoffs too. Bob, can a non-playoff? Let's go with KP's definition of it because I like that one better. It makes for better TV ratings when a guy like that wins. It's already been kicked off. So a non-playoff, one that is not competing for the next round of the playoffs, can they win a race?
Well, if AJ Allmendinger runs the Roval, I'm going to say him. But I look at what Chris Buescher did at Daytona and what he learned at Daytona and the way he raced with that package. And I think he could definitely win Talladega. I think that the Fords are going to be strong at Talladega. And if I look at a place like that, I go with Chris Buescher.
All right. Well, we all know Talladega. Man, I might be able to win Talladega. Who knows if we just make it to the end. Okay, next up we have Richmond, which is KP, do we call this a short track? Can we call Richmond a short track?
Yes, it's a short track. Listen, we can't just throw away all of our short tracks. So let's put it in the short track category.
Great. I love it. So we're going from KP's fishing hole to up in Richmond, Virginia with the short track up there. So I know that this is going to be pressure packed too, because Bristol is always crazy and that'll be the cutoff race for this round. Bob, who's your Richmond pick? We're going to have one in Victory Lane.
Okay, now this kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier of who was going to be in and who was going to be out. I'm picking Christopher Bell. KP's probably rolling his eyes thinking, what in the world, that I didn't get any sleep last night or something like that. But Christopher Bell's won a few times at Richmond Xfinity Series. He ran well there earlier this year. And, Adam Stevens, and Kyle Busch had a good history there. So I'm going to go with a little bit of an upset and go with Christopher Bell.
I like the upset. Really a good driver at Richmond, especially in the Xfinity Series. KP, who you got at Richmond?
I am not rolling my eyes. And listen, I struggle with putting Christopher Bell on my out list because of Richmond, because that is a racetrack that I think he could do something at. But I go to Richmond, and I'm going to go way out because I'm going to go I want to go with Joey Logano, but I'm going to go with Brad Keselowski. For whatever reason, the Fords have not been great. They've not been great on short tracks and stuff. But this is a place that I think that Brad or Joey or one of those guys, and I'm gonna go with Brad, can win a race and kind of surprise some people. I don't think they can win everywhere because I don't think Brad's even shown up for a lot of this year. When you look at that team, they have really, really struggled. But this is a place, as it is a short track, and I will classify it as a short track, that Brad can make up a difference. And I think Brad, Joey, unless Kevin Harvick, those guys just go to a different place in their head when the playoffs start, and they take their game as a driver to another level.
All right. Well, I am going to take the low-hanging fruit. KP's used to this. I always take the low-hanging fruit. He's really good at Richmond. It's an obvious pick. I'm going with the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. I've liked the speed. I liked what he was doing at some points in Darlington, so I'm going with the 19.
Listen, I'm just glad Merriman's not here and we don't have to hear Chase Elliott's name. That's all I'm going to say. Chase Elliott's going to win every race, according to Merriman. All right. Well, man, this is so much fun hanging with you guys on Labor Day. I hope everybody is enjoying their Labor Day. And don't forget to tune in to that short track racing Saturday night at Richmond at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on NBCSN. And we'll see you right back here on another episode of Backseat Drivers.